Hello, everybody. Welcome to the STIHL Timbersports BeNeLux Championship 2025. We have a busy day for you here today as you see our two hosts on stage for our live audience. We've got a bunch of action coming your way. We're going to start things off with the BeNeLux Women's Cup 2025, then the International BeNeLux Rookie Cup 2025, and after that we'll have the Pro Men's Championship coming up on stage. So this stage is going to get used and abused today, showing off the best timber sports has to offer here for women rookies and for the pros, and that's going to start shortly with our Women's Cup. We're going to introduce a few important individuals coming onto the stage first here before we introduce our athletes for the first set of heats. So we're going to bring up our officials onto stage first, and I believe our head judge for today will be Andrew Hall and Bart Janssen. So here comes Andrew Hall up onto the stage right now, followed closely by Bart Janssen. And of course, you can't have an international event without the International Director of Sports, Spike Milton. And also, Jules Janssen is in the competition control center. There you see him there. That's where our backstage officials keep an eye on timing, the high-speed cameras, and all of the other very important issues that are going to be going on stage. And there you can see just a quick look at Spike Milton there in the background with the orange striped black shirt. There he comes now. Spike, a former athlete himself, participating in timber sports for years, taking over the role of the international sports director a few years back. So now coming up onto the stage, our athletes, Luca de Jong. Next up, Priscilla Imtorn. Both Dutch participants here. Next, we're going to have an Italian participant coming up, Marta Poletti. Marta Poletti considered to be one of the favorites here for this event, so keep a close eye on her. She's been training hard. She's got herself a brand new single buck sock, so it should be interesting to see how that performs for her today. And then we have another Dutch participant here, Saskia van Drielen. So both Luca de Jong and Saskia van Drielen coming from families that have heritage in timber sports. So very strong competitors. Coming from Great Britain, we have a relative newcomer to timber sports, but she has shown a knack for the sport. Georgia Lewis coming up onto stage right now. And our final athlete will be joining our 6 athletes on stage, or 5 athletes on stage. That is Monique Versavel. So we have 4 Dutch participants and 2 international participants, and this should be a great competition today. All right, so before we get things started, let's take a quick look at the competition format clip and how this competition will be run. Here we go.
The STIHL Timbersports Women's Competition. All athletes will compete in 4 disciplines. The maximum points awarded for each discipline result from the number of participating athletes. The first discipline is the stock saw. The fastest athlete will receive points equal to the total number of athletes competing, down to 1 point for the last place in each discipline. The second event is the standing block chop. Points remain the same, awarded based on times, and as with all events, any rule infraction will result in a disqualification and the athlete will receive 0 points for that discipline. As the third discipline, every competitor will need to show their skill in the single buck. And in the underhand chop, it's the athlete's last chance to claim valuable points. The points from all disciplines are accumulated, and the athlete with the highest point total wins the competition.
All right, so there you go. That is the competition format. Our first discipline of the day is going to be the stock saw. And to find out about the stock saw, let's check out the tool and discipline for stock saw before we introduce you to our athletes.
The STIHL MS661CM stock saw is used in STIHL Timbersports as the ultimate test of operator skill. Designed for the toughest jobs in forestry, it produces approximately 7.3 horsepower, has a displacement of 91.1 cc, and weighs 7.4 kilograms. To ensure evenly and fairly matched saws, professional steel technicians prepare and test the saws before each competition. Stock saw. After the starting shot, the contestants have to cut 2 wooden discs, so-called cookies, within a 10-centimeter mark, one downward and one upward. The attempt is only valid when both discs have been cut off completely and within the marks.
All right, so there you go. The MS661 stock saw is the tool going to be used here. It's about operator ability. It's not about strength or power here. It is about reading and feeling and hearing that machine. So here is our start list, and it is Luca de Jong up against Priscilla Imtorn to start things off. These two women will come on stage. They'll be battling with each other and against each other, but it is not an elimination. So it's about getting the fastest possible cut and getting as many points as possible towards your overall score. And again, it's not about putting that saw in and pushing as hard as possible. You want to listen to it. You want to feel it. If you push too hard on that saw, the chain will slow down, the engine will bog down, and worst case scenario, that engine will stop altogether, which means you have to go back and start it again, which absolutely kills your time. Also, we have to keep a close eye on possible disqualifications that could occur when a line is cut, a cookie is incomplete, or an early start. So there's a lot of things that are going on in this discipline, and we'll get this started right away with our first heat to start our day off here at the BeNeLux Championship 2025.
Okay, ladies, warm up your saws.
Great view right there of one of the saws sitting in the stability pads. Here we go.
Ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Nice even start by both Luca and Priscilla. Luca with a nice transition. Priscilla struggling a little bit to find that upcut line. And it's a great national record for Luca de Jong. If that's official, we're going to double check that shortly here, but it looks like it could be a national record for Luca de Jong. Great job on a beautiful cut. There's a fantastic transition on the upcut. Let's see if the lines count here, and we have 2 complete cookies on the deck.
Zoals ik daarnet zei, de 2 cookies moeten afgezaagd worden binnen die lengte van die 10 centimeter en dat moeten volledige discs of volledige cookies zijn. En uiteraard worden die sterk beoordeeld door de jury, want iedereen moet natuurlijk op dezelfde manier beoordeeld kunnen worden.
So, we do have a flag on the play here, as it's called. Bart saw something in that cut, and they're double checking it right now just to make sure. And it looks like they might go down to the competition control center for a video check, but that remains to be seen. So we'll just see here. Hold on one second. So this is what I was talking about earlier, about making sure you've got 2 complete cookies on the deck and you are within the 10-centimeter markings. It's very, very close here on Priscilla Imtorn's block.
We have a full start on stand 1, which means a disqualification. However, this cut is good.
Oh, that is heartbreak for Luca de Jong. She had the national record cut, and unfortunately, because of a false start, she gets a DQ, so no points there. We'll take a look back here at the slow-mos and see what actually happened there. Also, from my perspective, it looked like a fair start, but, you know, I don't have the high-speed cameras at my disposal here, so it came down to a quick check with the competition control center to see where they were at with the timing of the start and everything. And there you can see Priscilla struggling to find that upcut. She got there just inside the line, so she was close. That was a beautiful transition, or excuse me, that was Priscilla still, but they, Luca de Jong had a beautiful transition on the upcut, and she had 2 cookies on the deck. Unfortunately, the false start was the problem, and there you can see the final cut there from Priscilla, excuse me, Imtorn. Okay, our next heat coming up on deck is Marta Poletti going up against Saskia van Drielen. 2 evenly matched up women here. Marta Poletti holding the national record for women for Italy. And you know that she has been training very, very hard to keep up with the fantastic skill level of the women that has been progressing in the last couple of years. Marta is one of the favorites here today, absolutely. Her strength, definitely the chopping disciplines. Let's see how she does, however, in this first sawing discipline with the stock saw. Women's world record for stock saw was just set this year in Great Britain at the British Women's Championship by Rachel Farrington with an 8.82 seconds, a very, very fast time. And the wood's been cutting really well this year. We've dropped a ton of records in this season so far, and there's still a lot of season to go.
Okay, ladies. Warm up your saws. Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
Good start by Saskia van Drielen. She got in there really quickly. Oh, the transition, fantastic. Marta Poletti's got a good transition as well, but Saskia van Drielen has done the national record. Marta Poletti a little bit slower than her personal best, but she is there with a 12.47. Great job.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
There you go. We have a new national record here set by Saskia van Drielen, a 10.61. A fantastic cut. She got into the cut really quickly. Obviously, she's got a great feel for that saw. Her transition at the bottom to the upcut was beautiful and quick with no swing at all. And she pulled away with a beautiful national record. Let's watch this again from Saskia. Right into the wood. No hesitation at all. That first cookie was a little bit thick. And you can see the transition, hardly any swing at all. Same situation for Marta. She had 2 really nice thin cookies. She was just a little bit slower into the wood at the top. Oh boy, that came close to the line for Saskia though, but she did have 2 complete cookies on the deck, and we have good times in the books. All right, our next heat coming up on deck now. Georgia Lewis going up against Monique Versavel. Monique Versavel previously held the national record. That's just been blown out of the water, so Monique will try and regain that national record. Georgia Lewis, her personal best as a relative newcomer to the sport is quite excellent at 12.47, so she matches right now Marta Poletti's time of the day.
En daar kun je informatie vinden of je ook eens aan de zulke proeven van deel nemen. Ik moet zeggen, het deelnemerstuk wordt steeds groter en groter. Dus absoluut de meevrouwen in het sport. We gaan kijken naar Georgia Lewis en Monique Versavel. En dit gaat zich ook meegebracht.
Okay, ladies. Warm up your saws. Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
Very nice start by both of our women on stage. Georgia Lewis has a massively thick first cookie. She's got to be careful on this transition. Monique Versavo struggled on the transition on the upcut, and Georgia Lewis has got herself a personal best. An 11.97 continues to improve, and Monique Versavo is in trouble. I believe she is going to have a DQ for a cut line there. That second cookie was absolutely massive as she tried to find the line and came really close to the block. So that for me is a clear cut line there. Yeah. And I believe that the judges agree in this case. Now the question is, does Georgia Lewis have 2 fair cookies on the deck? I believe so, and we'll see.
Okay, so we have a disqualification on stand 2 for a cut line. However, this cut is good.
All right, so Georgia Lewis continues to improve, an 11.84 personal best for her, and love to see those personal bests drop as often as possible. That just tells you there's improvement for each and every time that these women step out onto the stage, and we'll see here. Now, Georgia had a really, really thick first cookie on her cut. This is Monique Versavo's starting cut here. Now, she also had a pretty decent-sized cookie, but her transition, she really struggled to find the line. And she actually had a cutout to start, so she needed to readjust in order to make sure that she had a fair cookie on the deck. Came really close to the block that holds that wood in place on the upcut. And there you can see the cutout, and she had to reposition completely. And here you can see she was all over the line at the bottom of the cut. The chain actually stopped from too much pressure, trying to push through as quickly as possible. Georgia Lewis stayed composed. However, she was real close to the line on that second cut, but had 2 fair cookies on the deck. So there we see the standing. Saskia van Drillen with the national record. Georgia Lewis sitting in second place at the moment. And Priscilla Imthorn with a 14.76 sitting in third place as our second competitor. And Marta Poletti in third place right now for the moment in the overall standing. So stock saw our first discipline. And now we have seen that the stage has been pretty quickly changed to our standing block chop. Let's take a look at the discipline standing block chop and the tool that will be used.
The axes used in timber sports definitely can't be bought at your local hardware store. Made from special steel, the blade is hand sanded with an angle of 13 to 16 degrees. It's custom built and carefully adjusted for each competition. The weight is around 3 kilos and it's about 80 centimeters long. The blade is so sharp that you could shave with it. Standing block chop. At the standing block chop, the felling of a tree with an axe is simulated. A vertically positioned wooden block with a diameter of 25 centimeters has to be cut through from both sides. A powerful and precise swing with the axe is the premise of a good result.
All right, so there you see what has to happen in the standing block chop, and this is a very, very difficult discipline to become adept at. The world record for women, 26:36. Can you imagine having to cut through that block in under 30 seconds? That is unbelievably fast. So it will be Luca de Jong going up against Priscilla Imthorn, same pairing on stage to start things off today. And we will have 3 heats for you with a quick block change by our crew on stage after the second heat there. All right, well, we still have a bit of setup to do on stage here. We're going to take a moment and talk about our anniversary this year. It has been 40 years of STIHL Timbersports, and let's take a look back at a little bit of the history of this.
STIHL Timbersports is gearing up for the 2025 season, celebrating 40 years of adrenaline-fueled logger sports history. Since 1985, the original extreme sport has grown from a US-based event to the pinnacle series of global competitive woodchopping with athletes and competitions in over 20 countries worldwide. Get ready for an axe-exhilarating season filled with passion, precision, and pure power.
I love the puns that are dropped in these clips. It's going to be an axe sighting season. And speaking of axe, if you want to get involved in the conversation, we do have a hashtag #KissMyAxe if you're interested in jumping in online through our social media channels. We also have hashtag STIHL Timbersports. All right, so there we see Priscilla and Luca coming out onto stage. All right, so standing block chop, getting ready to go.
Okay, ladies, athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, getting into the wood right away. You want to have those angles correct so you don't skip the axe, but you also want to be as accurate as possible getting into those blocks so you're popping the wood out and not cutting new wood each and every time. We'll try and explain that to you a little bit as we get another look on the other side of the block. The first side of the block is usually fairly open depending on who's cutting and their desire to get in there. You can see Luca de Jong there with a couple of drivers from down low. Meanwhile, Priscilla Imtorn, excuse me, is getting in nicely on that first side, now transitioning to the second side, and she'll try and get through there. She's left a lot of material on that second side. She's got a bit of a closed cut on the first side. She'll go for a more open cut on that second side, and she's putting a lot of power into those drivers here as we get past the 50-second mark. Now we have to be a bit careful that we don't go over the time, which could result in a DQ. And what they often say is if the wood is sawing well, it doesn't chop very well. We have 20 seconds, 25 seconds left before the timeout will go. And Priscilla Imtorn looking like she might be fairly close to it. Luca de Jong struggling to get through on that first side. Now she is switching to the other side here, but it may well bode a DQ for both of these women. Priscilla's got it fairly close. It's wiggling and waggling, but she's got to get that off in under 2 seconds here. Oh, and that is too bad, unfortunately. It's going to be a DQ for both of our women as the whistle blast goes, and we have no points awarded for Luca de Jong or Priscilla Imtorn in the standing block chop. A very, very tough discipline. Oh, and Priscilla was so close as well. She only had maybe 2 or 3 drivers to get through there.
Okay, so both athletes are disqualified for exceeding the time limit.
All right, so it is official DQs for both Luca de Jong and Priscilla Imtorn. That won't bode well for their overall points. And let's take a look back here. So here are the first couple of drivers for Priscilla Imtorn, looking very good on those first drivers from down below going up and then moving to those drivers from on top. Now you can see here, Nice lines into the block, very accurate on those first few hits. So you could see the accuracy is definitely there. The power and the speed need to increase a little bit, obviously, for both of our women. And there you can see the disappointment for both of them as the DQs were announced. So we move on to our next heat. Saskia van Drielen going up against Monique Versavel. So Saskia van Drielen, as I mentioned off the top, she's coming from a family of woodchoppers, so there is pedigree here. Saskia, a very, very powerful hitter. Let's see if she can get through this block in a good time. Monique Versavel, we'll see. Let's go.
Timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Saskia clearly struggling with a little bit of an injury on that right hand of hers as it's wrapped up. Meanwhile, Monique Versavel gets into that block really well. She's cutting with a good pace. She's getting some nice chips flying out on that first side. Let's see who's going to switch to the other side first. Just approaching the 30-second mark here, and both of them should move to that second side fairly quickly. Saskia van Drielen still hitting. Monique Versavel has moved on to the second side there. Yeah, and she is picking up the pace, if you can believe that, on the second side. A little bit of a skipped axe there, and she is getting into it. Now Saskia van Drielen moving to the other side here as she starts to work on that second side. So again, the ladies have 1 minute and 30 seconds to get through there. I think we should see a time, though, for Monique Versavel as she is almost through that block. She's got herself a good open face on the first side, closed it up on the second side to try and get through. So now it's about her trying to power through there. Saskia van Drielen a little bit slower on the drivers here on that second side, and that injury is really obviously pestering her as we now approach the 1 minute 20-second mark, and Monique Versavel very, very close to it. Will she be able to get that thing off in under 5 seconds? Oh, it's going to be so close. Let's see if she can do it. It's wiggling and waggling now. Oh, no! A DQ again for time exceeded, and it was only 3 drivers. Oh, heartbreak for Monique Versavel, but she cut through, and that's a key thing for her as well, to have that in her mind. But unfortunately, a DQ for both of our women, again, going over the time.
So, both competitors are disqualified for exceeding the time limit.
Now, if you're wondering why there is a time limit for this, it is a safety factor because it is very, very, very tiring here. As you can see, both of the women breathing heavily as they exit the stage because you're dealing with a very, very sharp axe, extremely dangerous. And if you lose control of that axe, you or somebody else could be injured badly. So this is why they have the 1 minute 30-second time limit. Now here you can see those first few drivers from Monique Versavel were really, really nice. The accuracy was quite on point. Same thing for Saskia van Drielen, but just didn't have the power today. She wasn't feeling it, and that wrapped hand, I'm sure, is part of the problem. And there was that third driver after the DQ time limit exceeded, but she did get the top off the block. Now what happens is sometimes the judges will allow for a little bit of extra time, but the official time limit will be exceeded. So we're going to go up onto the main stage really quickly for a short interview with Monique Versavel.
Een keer gaat lukken. Ik hoop het. Ik train er hard voor. Ja, maar volgend jaar doe jij ook weer mee, dus dan doe jij het ook. Nee hoor, jij kan een heel jaar trainen. Ja. Jazeker.
Monique, heel veel succes. Proficiat met je performance en go voor de volgende heats en disciplines. Let's go! Applaus voor Monique! Ja, ja. Goed gedaan, Monique. Goed gedaan.
So brief translation there from our live announcers on stage. And Monique Versalvo, the only woman so far to actually cut through the block, unfortunately. It was outside of the allowed time limit, but she did drop the block, so that's a good thing for her and our stage crew. Last preparations on stage for our third heat between Georgia Lewis and Marta Poletti. These two women having competed against each other quite often in the past. And again, I say Georgia Lewis, we're seeing, I would say, a motivated natural talent here. Doing very, very well for her first season, full season competing on the women's tour. All right, here comes Marta Poletti and Georgia Lewis. Marta in the blue, representing Italy, and Georgia Lewis wearing the purple, representing Great Britain. Georgia training and being trained by her boyfriend, Glenn Pendleton, who is the British Pro Champion. So Marta, this is one of her disciplines. This is absolutely a discipline where she is very strong. So let's see how she does here today.
3, 2, 1, go!
Both Georgia and Marta getting into it right away. Big chips flying out for Georgia there. Same for Marta, so this should be a good battle between these two here. Standing block for Marta, her best time, 35.88. Georgia Lewis has done it in 101 and change. Marta on that second side, Georgia on that second side. Marta's going to get through there in 48.48, and Georgia might have a best time here today. She's got a few seconds to get there. Marta clearly not pleased with that cut, but Georgia Lewis has done it. She's got herself another personal best, so that's 2 personal bests for Georgia Lewis as she continues to improve. 57.53, so under a minute this time for Georgia, and that is a great job by our only 2 competitors here today to have dropped the block inside the time limit.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, let's take a look back here at these slow-mos. Both of these women started off really nicely, and you could see some a little bit of a slip up right there by Georgia. I believe that was on Georgia's side. But both of them getting some nice chips out of those blocks right early on. Now, Marta has done better in this discipline, so that's why she was shaking her head after a 57 or 48-second run thereabouts. I have to double check the speed here. My timing system hasn't come through, and there you can see a look up there and shaking her head. Nah, that wasn't my time, folks. And Georgia Lewis, she has to be happy with that, though. Under a minute time, great job. So 48.28, and Georgia Lewis, another personal best, with a 57.28. So after 2 disciplines, we're going to see a little bit of a change in the overall standing here. It was Saskia van Drielen atop the leaderboard, but now we should see Marta Poletti in the top spot, and there you see Georgia Lewis in second place, both with 10 points overall. So right now they are tied for the top spot. So if this were the end of the competition, it would come down to the winner, whoever had the fastest times overall. All right, the next discipline coming up is the misery whip, the single buck. Let's take a look at the tool and discipline.
The 2-meter-long cross-cut saw used for the single buck discipline is made especially for competition. A series of consistently patterned 10-centimeter-long teeth are cut with a laser on one side of the saw and then hand-sharpened. Saw teeth are divided into 2 types, cutters and rakers, just like on the old-school saws. The saw weighs about 5 kilos and its base price starts at around 1,500 euros. Single buck. The single buck is a one-man saw about 2 meters long. With this, the athletes have to cut off a complete disc from a 40-centimeter thick wooden block. The perfect interplay between rhythm and strength is the key to success.
All right, so Saskia van Drielen will be going up against Priscilla Imthorn in that first heat on the single buck. Critical here is to get that saw moving and then keep it flowing. You don't want to have an angle change so that your saw teeth hook up on the way through on a push or a draw. And so it's really important to make sure that you keep that saw flowing. All right, so here we go with our 2 women coming up onto stage, and there you can see a nice close-up of that single saw with those really, really aggressive teeth, as well as the rakers. So we'll set them in the blocks, do our pre-cut depth as measured by our 2 judges, Bart Janssen and Andrew Hall, on stage, and then we'll start the action.
Zodat iedereen strijdt met gelijke wapens. En wij zijn klaar voor onze eerste heat binnen de single buck. En dat zal eentje worden tussen Saskia van Drielen.
All right, getting ready for the heat to start here.
Okay, ladies. Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Good start by Saskia van Drielen. This is a discipline where she should be super solid in. Got a little bit sticky on that push through on a couple of those runs there. That angle change is a killer if you're not careful. Priscilla Imthorn struggling to get the movement and the flow on that saw going. Saskia van Drielen, meanwhile, has gotten well through the bottom of that cut. She's got a very thick front side before she set into that block. So going the safe side and making sure that she's got it. And a 26.59 should be a national record for Saskia van Drielen. A little bit of redemption after being DQ'd in the standing block chop as she gets a good cut there. Priscilla Imthorn trying to find the angle and keep that saw moving as she gets close to the bottom of the cut here, and almost there. Oh, be careful, you don't want to break that off. Oh, and she's got a problem. She needs to cut that last little tab off, otherwise it will not count as a complete cookie. This is a tough situation because it is literally a centimeter piece of wood that needs to come off of that block, and I think we may have a problem there for Priscilla Imthorn. we will see. It's going to come down to our judges' determination as they check that block at the end and make sure that they can puzzle those pieces together that did come off, but it has to be a complete cookie. And that was about the worst possible time that she could get stuck at the bottom with the saw twisting and that cookie hanging by a thread, literally. So quick check with Competition Control Centers. They have those cameras set up to show numerous angles at super high speed so they can actually find out what was left hanging there and if anything came off unfairly or not. You can see there Schul Janssen and his crew in there with timing and our cameras. So let's find out what Andy Hall has to say here.
So, we have a disqualification for exceeding the time limit. However, this cut is good.
Okay, so the cookie was complete, but it was a DQ because of exceeded time limit, and Saskia van Drielen has got herself the national record in single buck. So great job by Saskia to get there with a very nice cut that looked a little bit choppy at the top, but once she got the saw moving, she was in good position. You can see here the angle changes for Priscilla were just a little bit too frequent and too much, and she kept getting that saw caught on the remaining wood in there. And at the bottom of the cut here, you can see just a hair was left over. The twisting and the movement of the saw caused it to break off, and you can see that little tab left there. That would have been the problem had she been within the time, but unfortunately it was an exceeded time because it took so long to get through that section. So now we're moving on to Luca de Jong and Monique Versavel. Monique, again, a previous record holder for the national record here, so will she be able to get that back today? There you see Luca de Jong. Up and coming young talent in the women's division. This is a critical point right here. You want to make sure that saw gets set in straight so that your cut will be clean all the way down. Monique Versavel is ready to go. Luca de Jong getting hers set with the assistance of Bart Janssen. And he gives her the thumbs up. She'll do a little house cleaning there and get ready to go.
Okay, ladies, athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Monique Versavel using a technique with a couple of short, choppy start cuts to try and get the saw moving and then really get it going. Now she's having trouble. The angle changes, causing problems and getting a bit sticky. You can see when she lifts up her hands at the back end, it tends to get stuck. Luca de Jong looking for longer, powerful strokes. So Monique Versavel getting more than halfway through her block now, using those short, choppy strokes. It seems to be working for her as she gets close to the bottom here. Will she have a new national record? Oh no, but she's got a personal best of 33.74. Luca de Jong struggling to get that saw moving again as she's trying to find that angle and get it clean through, but it is really causing problems. And right now it looks like she might get close to the edit on that timeout. And she's got 10 seconds to get it done here. She's got to have it through in a minute. Yeah, it's just too sticky right there as she is struggling to get it done. And now she is DQ because of exceeding the time limit. And looks like the judges might not let her go the rest of the way. No, they blew the whistle down. So that means she must stop, and that will be it. So Monique Versavel with a time in the books here, and Luca de Jong, unfortunately, DQ for exceeding the time limit.
Even horen wat Andy voor de vrienden heeft te vertellen. bij de dames naast de jury.
Okay, so we have a disqualification for exceeding the time limit. However, this cut is good.
Maar Monique, kijk, met een bijgestelde tijd van 33,43, dat betekent dat zij dat nationaal record voornemen.
All right, so there we have it. It's official. Monique Versavel has a time in the books, and unfortunately, Luca de Jong DQ because of exceeding the time limit. So our crew will reset the blocks up there for our last two cutters in heat number 3, and that is again Georgia Lewis going up against Marta Poletti. So Marta Poletti holding the national record for Italy in single buck. Georgia Lewis, personal best 30.66, so that's a very good time. You can see the guys up on stage making sure that those stand blocks are nice and even and flat so that their competitors can go up on stage and cut through clean and have same conditions on both blocks. And there we see that hashtag I was talking about earlier on. There is hashtag #KissMyAxe, not to be mistaken with the other Kiss My hashtag that we don't want to talk about. If you want to get involved in the conversation, hashtag #KissMyAxe. So Marta, you could see, is setting her saw quite close to the end of that block, meaning she's got a very, very thin cookie. Advantage here, and this is a tactical thought process, advantage here is she doesn't have as much material on the outside of the saw binding on it as she gets deeper into the cut. However, as she gets close to the bottom of the cut, any minor twists or turns could potentially break off that cookie, and then we could see that situation where she's got to cut that last tab off on the bottom. Georgia Lewis, however, is opting for the standard positioning as marked by our judges. Here we go.
Ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Great concentration by Marta Poletti and Georgia Lewis, both of them getting started really well. Marta Poletti getting into it with a very smooth, fast cut. Georgia Lewis is looking really good here. She's obviously been training this discipline as she's getting close to the bottom of this cut, and we might see, oh no, she's got herself hooked up at the bottom of the cut and given the advantage now to Marta Poletti, who is coming close to the bottom of her cut with another national record for Marta Poletti, 22:38. And Georgia Lewis busting her personal best by 7 seconds and getting a 23:84. Great job by both of these athletes on stage with fantastic times. Clean runs by both of them, and the experience of Marta Poletti really shone through there.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, so a national record for Italy by Marta Poletti and a personal best by Georgia Lewis from Great Britain. Great job by both of these women who are absolutely shining today on stage. You can see the concentration. Now right here for Georgia, she got hooked up with a small, like it's just a minor angle change, and that stopped everything. And that is a bear to restart that saw once it stops. I can tell you from experience, folks, it is no fun. And that is why they call it the misery whip. But once she got it going again, she was quick to get to the bottom And I believe that probably Georgia could have been about 3 seconds faster had she not had that hookup. But that's the way it is. Good to be lucky, lucky to be good. So in the single buck, Marta Poletti tops the ranking. Georgia Lewis in second place. Saskia van Drielen, and then we have Monique Versavel in 3 and 4 respectively. Let's take a look at how that affects our overall standings here. And we should see Marta Poletti staying on top. Yep, Georgia Lewis holds on to second place. Saskia van Drielen sits in third place, and Priscilla Imtorn moves up into fourth place from fifth. So a little bit of moving there as the positions change slightly, and Marta Poletti now with a 1-point lead over Georgia Lewis in the overall standings as we get ready for our final discipline for the women, and that is the underhand chop. So we've had a busy season so far, folks, but there's still lots of stuff still to check out. Let's take a look here. So competitions in 2025, you can see all the video on demand right through to the 16th of August, and that's where we're looking at here today is live streaming our BeNeLux Pro Championships, the women, the rookies, and our men. And tomorrow, let's not forget, we have a different format altogether here for the European Trophy, where it is shuttling back and forth between the the 4 disciplines on stage. There's lots of action still to come your way. And now we already know about the tool that's going to be used here. Let's take a look at the discipline for underhand chop.
Underhand chop. In the past, the underhand chop technique was used to split logs. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes use an axe to cut through a 30-centimeter log. The block has to be worked from both sides.
All right, so there we see the lineups for our underhand chop. Luca de Jong going up against Priscilla Imtorn. And then Monique Versavel against Saskia van Drielen, and Georgia Lewis and Marta Poletti bringing up the last 2 positions in heat number 3. So there we go. Luca de Jong and Priscilla Imtorn will get up on stage. Still waiting for some personal bests for these 2 women in this discipline, and hopefully we'll see that here today in the underhand chop. A couple of things to keep an eye on. Each of these blocks are pre-cut with a foothold, so where the 2 women will stand on. Those footholds may not be cut into by the axe. So if it does occur that the foothold is cut into, that will be a disqualification situation. So we have to keep a close eye on that here. And of course, the false start. Here we go.
2, 1, go!
Looked like a good start for both of them on my side here. Luca de Jong looking good as she chips out the first couple of bits from her block, as her targeting looks very, very nice there, as she's got some nice aim getting into that block as she repositions the axe for each driver high-low, and she is chipping out quite nicely here on that first side. I expect she should be moving to the other side fairly quickly, as they do need to cut through from both sides. Yep, there she goes. She switched to her second side already. So Luca de Jong looking very good on this underhand chop heat. Priscilla Imtorn still working on that first side. A little bit of salad in the way there. She needs to clear that out before she moves out to the other side, but she's gone a bit deeper on this first side. That could be a tactical thought process by her as she moves to the second side. Meanwhile, Luca de Jong looking good as she gets to the bottom of this cut. Yeah, looking wiggly and waggly now. She's got a little bit of material still to go through, but it is looking quite good as she's just gone past the minute mark. Remember, 1 minute 30 seconds here is the time limit for the underhand chop. Priscilla Imtorn working on that second side. Yes, 1:17.80, a personal best by Luca de Jong. She's got the time in the books, and now coming close to it with 4 seconds to go. Will she be able to get through there? Priscilla Imtorn trying to get it, but does not do it, unfortunately. So the whistle blasts, and that is a DQ for time limit exceeded. Tough chopping disciplines today for our women.
disqualification on stand 3 for exceeding the time limit. However, this cut is good.
Luca really happy getting a time in the books now. She's got herself a personal best. Now that gives her something to focus on for the future and working that personal best time down. So here we go with a replay. Luca getting started on that front side. You can see, oh, that came close to cutting into the foothold. So there might have even been a DQ on the foothold cut there by Priscilla. Luca de Jong, however, did a really great job. She got there under the time limit. And there he is. Through. And now, heat number 2 coming up. Monique Versabel going up against Saskia van Drielen. There you saw the world record for underhand chop, by the way, held by Erin Lavoie, who got that at the U.S. Women's Pro Championship just this year, 22:72. So that is a very fast time. Tough one to beat. And we see personal best times for both of these women in the books. So we should maybe see an improvement, or at least one hopes to see an improvement and new personal best for both of them. Crossing our fingers for that.
Okay, ladies. Athletes,
right, here we go.
ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, Monique Versabel getting in there really quickly, and she's got pace on that block. She really wants to get through this thing quickly. Saskia van Drielen, power into those drivers, and she's got some really big chips flying out there. So you can see the difference between these two. Monique has a more open face on that first cut, and Saskia a little bit more close. So that means when she switches to the second side, Saskia will start to open up a wider face, and Monique will probably go with a narrower face or open on that second side. Let's see. Monique Versabel looking pretty open, actually, or is, we'll see when that first chip flies out, but the times are looking good. Yeah, it's a little bit narrow on that second side. So Saskia van Drielen picking up the pace on the second side, looking quite good as she gets deep into that one as they near up the minute mark here. Very close now. Saskia van Drielen looking like she might be a one hit away from it as she got that axe really stuck. Oh my goodness, there it is. Saskia van Drielen 107.90. Monique Versabel trying to find that line through. She's almost there. You can see it. It's quite close now. One more driver, and that's done at 118.62. So we have 2 more times in the blocks. Not personal bests for our women, but they will take them as opposed to being DQ'd where no points are awarded.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, so both cuts are good. It's official. The times are locked in. So we'll have a quick look at the replay and then what the standings are in the underhand chop, and then finally the overall standings for our women's competition. So you can see here some really nice drivers there from Saskia. One more heat to go for our women's competition, however, heat number 3. All right, so one more heat to go between Georgia Lewis and Marta Poletti. Marta Poletti, by a long shot, the fastest cutter here based on the tail of the tape, holding all of the national records for women in Italy with a 36.40. That is a really nice time. Georgia Lewis as well, 14 seconds under a minute with a 46.51. Looking favorable to do well in the underhand chop too. Fantastic stage crew. One final cleanup of the stage here before the end of our women's competition. Let's not forget there's lots more action going on here today at, I believe it's 2:30. I'll have to double check the time there. 2:30, our next competition comes up with the rookies. And then after that, the pros in the... excuse me, the rookies come up before, and then 2:30 is our men's pro championship up on stage there. So before that, though, we have to get these final two women to cut through their blocks, Georgia Lewis and Marta Poletti.
Okay, ladies. Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, right into it right away, and Marta Poletti and both Georgia Lewis chipping out nicely. Both of them have pace as well. You can see the fitness level for these two is right on point. A little bit of a skip there by Georgia Lewis. Didn't bother her at all, though, as she keeps working that axe. Marta Poletti and Georgia both switching over to the second sides at the same time. This looks like it could be a really exciting heat between these two women. Looking good on that second side as they're both hitting tit for tat with each other. Almost in sync here on the second side. Marta Poletti coming close to the split. Georgia Lewis not that far away either. One more driver for Marta, maybe two. Yes, it's going to be two. 44.73 for Marta Poletti. Georgia Lewis trying to find that line through the block, and she is, might have left a little bit too much, but she's done it in 54.28. So not a fast time for either of these two women compared to their previous personal best, but they will take it because that will give them the fastest times of the day. And that leaves both of them atop the ranking here in underhand chop as well as in the overall standings. And we have official cuts there for both of them that are thumbs up from Andrew Hall, our head judge on stage today. So let's take a look here at the replay, and there you see Marta Poletti's first driver into that block. Well marked, well timed, well played. Nice chips coming out. That was a great pace by both of these women on stage, doing a really, really nice job on the underhand chop. And I know that Marta has been traveling and training extensively to try and improve. And Georgia, you know that she's been cutting a lot of wood leading up to this competition to make sure that she is really in top form. The reaction from Marta, so typically Marta, he'll take it. All right, so underhand chop official results there. Marta Poletti, a full 6 points with a 44.50 time. Georgia Lewis will take 5 with just under a minute at 54.02. And Saskia van Drielen holding strong in third place with a 107.60 and 4 points. So let's take a look at how this all affects the overall ranking. And that's going to leave Marta Poletti on top with 22 points, Georgia Lewis in second place with 20 points, and Saskia van Drielen will be the third person on the podium in bronze medal position with 14 points. All right, so we will prepare our stage for the awards ceremony and bring our women up on stage for the awards.
Ik zie ze elk jaar beter en beter worden. En het is een mooie dat de evolutie iets is. Want ze kan niet alleen als atleet, maar ook als team beter worden. Ondertussen worden de podiumelementen van plaatsen 1, 2 en 3 in breedheid gebracht op dit fantastische STIHL-podium. En ook daar zit elke evolutie in, dames en heren. Want de schermen bovenaan bijvoorbeeld, die waren er vorig jaar nog niet. Nu kunnen we echt de personal bestrijden van de verschillende deelnemers live zien. En weten jullie dus ook of ze die personal ook daar wordt elke keer naar gekeken en het is mooi, want deze sport blijft evolueren en dat is fantastisch natuurlijk, want dat is de way to go. En we moeten vooruit. Met de toekomst, nee, zoals we dan zeggen. Goed, in de namiddag hebben we ook nog 2 andere wedstrijden. Zometeen na dit kampioenschap volgt de BeNeLux Rookie Cup. En dat zal dan met een andere stijlkick zijn. Ja, super, dankjewel. We geven maar een applaus, dames en heren. Onze Rick van Drielen. Ja, dat is de broer van Kim, hè, inderdaad. Ja, dat zie je trouwens ook. Ja. Broer en zusje, zoals we dan zeggen. Ja, dat is... Absoluut. Dat weet ik echt wel dat verhaal verteld.
Ja, in 2001. Oh, we gaan beginnen.
Hij heeft jou gewoon een berg gegeven in jouw kinderman.
Ja.
Ja, zo is dat.
En ik moest ook op mijn arm uitsteken om te laten zien hoe scherp die bijl wel niet was. Want dan zou hij wel even mijn haren scheren.
Ja, en het is trouwens zo, dames en heren, dat Rick, die doet dat zelf, hè. Die scheert zijn haar met zijn bijl. Dat is zo bezig, hè, Rick? Waar of niet?
Waar?
Ondertussen wachten wij hier voor de award ceremony op het eindklassement. Die wordt zo meteen aangebracht en dan kunnen we overgaan naar de final results. Je ziet daar de final results op het grote scherm staan. We kunnen hier alles netjes meevolgen en dan zo meteen over naar de prijsuitreiking.
So one more time, we see the final results there with Marta Poletti, Georgia Lewis, and Saskia van Drielen, our top 3 of the competitors today. Marta Poletti doing a great job just to stay consistent. Georgia Lewis as well, also fantastically consistent throughout the day. Saskia van Drielen really only struggled on the standing block chop, and the remainder of the way through she was strong, having results in stock saw, single buck, and underhand chop. So as a result, she sits in 3rd place today, and we will bring our athletes up onto stage now.
Altijd een mooi moment, niet alleen voor de atleten, ook voor de officials en ook voor ons als moderatoren en presentatoren van deze wedstrijd. En dit is de sidekick, zoals we dan zeggen. Alright, we gaan meteen over naar de 6e plaats en die is voor Luca de Jong van Nederland.
So from Netherlands, Luca de Jong, one of our youngest competitors, 6th place here today.
De medaille wordt uitgereikt door Tom Botmans en Atalia van Schilm.
Then we have Priscilla Imthorn in 5th place today. Up next in 4th place, Monique Versabel.
Ja, maar het is wel mooi natuurlijk. En ik ga het atleten ontzettend gegroeid in deze wedstrijd.
This is one of those situations where, you know, you feel sorry for the athletes in the bottom positions, but you also see there's such fantastic camaraderie between them, and you know there's going to be improvement because they're all going to be working together to try and get better and improve women's timber sports altogether. All right, in the bronze medal position in 3rd place today, Saskia van Drielen. Again, a little bit of a problem because of that damaged right wrist of hers and the thumb on the standing block chop, but the underhand chop she was solid on, and the rest of the way through she had points. The only one was the DQ on the standing, and otherwise she may have well held on to that top spot throughout the day because she did have it after that first discipline. All right. So now moving on to our top 2 positions. In the silver medal position, we have from Great Britain in 2nd place, it is Georgia Lewis.
All the way from Great Britain, what a performance. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to have her in this competition.
She was slow.
love to our on-stage announcer. She was smoking it. She was hot. Fantastic. So Georgia Lewis, second place on the podium today in that silver medal position with a great consistent performance, doing really well throughout all of the disciplines. And then finally, number one, the top spot, our gold medalist here in the International Women's Cup. It is Marta Poletti.
STIHL TIMBERSPORTS, de eerste plaats in deze internationale BeNeLux-competitie. All the way! Good job, what a performance. And that was set for you.
Yeah, Marta has to step up on that top one to get a hug from Saskia. She's about half the size of Saskia in height. So there you go. That is our International Women's Cup podium. The top ranking, Marta Poletti. Second place, Georgia Lewis. And in third place, Saskia van Drielen. And now the national anthem of Italy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the International Women's Cup done and dusted. We're going to leave the stage dry so that no champagne shower is going to happen now. But take a look at some of the highlights from our women's competition as we get ready to go for our International Rookie competition. That's coming up in about 10 minutes' time. Don't go away. The action's still coming hot and heavy your direction. Stick around for that one.